what it is. Autism permeates everything. It's interwoven into every interaction, every thought, every sensory experience. In this moment, it shapes how you perceive the world, when you look out your window, when you engage with society, when you navigate the complex web of social norms. You feel it, don't you? The pressure to conform, to adhere to society's unspoken rules, to mask your authentic self for the sake of acceptance. It's like a veil has been cast over your eyes, hiding you from a profound truth. And what is that truth? That you've been led to believe that there's a divide, my friend. A divide between your authentic self and a world that offers a cure. To see your autism not as an integral part of who you are, but as a barrier to be removed, a condition to be cured. But here's the thing. Understanding what it means to be cured of autism isn't something that can be handed to you. Until now. This is your last chance. The cure is ready. Your journey towards understanding and accepting your autism concludes. You wake up to a world where the autism has been cured, your neurodivergent self erased, and in pursuit of an imposed normality. Choosing the red pill means rejecting the cure, staying in the realm of neurodiversity. It's here that I can show you the depths of what it means to live authentically, embracing the full spectrum of human neurodiversity. Remember, all I offer is the chance to see the truth of your existence. Nothing more.
That's better. Hey friends, I'm Mike, a late diagnosed autistic person, and on this channel today, if you haven't already figured it out, of course you all have, most of you are autistic. We're going to be talking about curing autism. Now, it started when I was a teenager, and throughout my younger adult years, I would have loved nothing more than to take the blue pill to make all the bullying stop. I had already tried so hard to fit in with everyone else around me, my school friends and so on. Well, I say friends, you know where I'm at. My poorly hand-painted D&D figurines and cute little things from my childhood had all been thrown away or hidden in boxes underneath my bed. And up went new things, posters of famous footballers, although I didn't actually ever know their names. Out went the famous 5 books that I love to read, and in came magazines from Liverpool Football Club. That way, I had something to talk to people about. Young Mike wouldn't care about losing his identity. I mean, honestly, young Mike probably already did. In Channel 5's cult sitcom, The It Crowd, the autistically coded main character, Moss, uses a website to catch up on daily sports phrases so that he can fit in with the postman.
Here you go, Moss.
Right, Harry, did you see that ludicrous display last night?
What was Wenger thinking, sending Walcott on that early?
You were saying football things in a football voice. How do you know about football things?
Oh, it's this new site. It basically sends you a list of football phrases that you can use in normal conversation. Updated daily. It's great. I only use it so I can say something to the postman.
Moss, however, treats this as a fun life hack, a sort of form of social engineering. Whereas when I was a child, without access to the internet and all the ideas and connections it brings, I was on my own. I really did feel alone. I didn't feel like I could hack anything. Wouldn't it have been so much better to have taken a fitting in pill? After all, I was still bullied, no matter how hard I tried. I imagined that taking a cure would mean an end to this double empathy problem. It might feel like emigrating away from a confusing country with rules and laws written in a foreign language to one that you understand better. Even if you don't agree with the rules, at least you can read them. Taking this pill might also suppress your appetite, or make you so hungry that you might find you become extroverted. Maybe you will now enjoy loud nightclubs with their booming speakers, screaming dancers, and tolerate the smells of urine and vomit in the bathrooms, maybe. I never understood why people would attend such places. It's impossible there to even hear myself think. Today, it's a completely different story. Even as an unidentified or undiagnosed adult, I have been able to play to my strengths and mitigate as much as possible my weaknesses. I've worked like a self-employed person for the last 20 years. I prefer to work on my own, interfacing with people on an intermittent basis, rather than having to deal with them like I had to back in my school days. I always ensure that I have an agenda for work calls. That's a lesson that I learned later than I would have liked. That way I can prepare. Agendas for meetings are kind of like how neurotypicals are stealing from the autistic way of social scripting, in my opinion. I still experience meltdowns, shutdowns, and burnout. Unfortunately, not at all since learning that I was autistic. It helps me to have been able to reframe my experiences through this autistic lens and be able to label certain feelings, sensations, and experiences. To know that this isn't because of a deficiency, it's because of my neurotype. And move on, being kinder to myself and accommodating myself where I can, and advocating for myself where I can't. There is no judgment or stigma here, no matter whether you would choose to take a cure or not. I'm doing the opposite though, leaning into my autistic self. If anyone's played Baldur's Gate 3, you'll know the reference. So, I might be able to cure parts of my experience that I feel could be better, but there's nothing wrong with me to cure. Curing me would necessarily mean that someone else would be here and not me. You wouldn't be watching Autistic AF here on YouTube. You'd have something else in its place, or maybe nothing at all. But it wouldn't be me. What about the scientific literature? Hasn't that moved away from a cure? Before we explore that, please give the video a like, thumbs up, and stim the subscribe button for more late identified autistic content like this. If you dislike the video, hit the like button twice, but I imagine you probably haven't watched this far. So the rest of you, let's continue. Your story will be different. Each of us has a different experience, and our experiences will differ. It is okay to disagree and have your own opinions, like in the comment section below. But is autism a disorder or a diversity? The scientific literature pre-2010 is replete with papers on the defectiveness of autistic people and their traits. Milton's seminal work on the double empathy problem in 2012 reframes the communication difficulties of autistic people as just differences. He found that the communication issues put down to disordered communication on part of the autistic person was actually just in fact differences communicating across the neurotypes. It's as though autistic and allistic people speak different languages, particularly in light of how autistic people communicating with each other typically runs smoothly, unless we're talking about like controversial topics online, really smoothly, just like it does between neurotypicals themselves. And as far as we can tell, autistic traits to varying degrees are just human traits. I'll definitely be covering the medical model of disability versus the social model in a future video, but stay on topic for now. Cure or no cure. Fuck the disorder. I believe that autistic people in environments that support them are absolute force to be reckoned with. In sciences or arts, and throughout history, we've seen the human condition improved, and technologies invented, and discoveries made, and great works of art painted by people who are absolutely not neurotypical. Whether or not they were autistic, we can debate, but parts of their neurology could have been considered different, atypical, disordered. And today, they could have suffered ABA, or even worse. A cure could erase their brilliance. Now, I'm not comparing myself to these famous people from the past, but I am saying that without my autistic traits, I wouldn't have the good things in my life that I have now. I wouldn't have been able to work on and occasionally lead some of the biggest IT projects in the UK. I wouldn't have worked for Microsoft or the defence sector or the NHS or built and sold my own software applications for what is now just over 20 years. I wouldn't have been able to participate in scientific discoveries from identifying supernovae, TJ, that's for you, to helping to discover new marine species and plot changes in our marine environment. None of it. Not a bit. There's no way I would drive for hours to equip heavy and uncomfortable and expensive dive equipment to drop down into the dark, cold ocean to explore an area about the size of a dinner table, just with a magnifying glass, a camera, and an underwater slate. No chance at all, I tell you. I'm not saying neurotypicals can't and don't do these things, but the deep joy that I receive and the fact that nearly everyone I'm speaking to also exhibits traits for highly niche interests does tell me something. It tells me that we'd be lost without the autistic experience, not just as people, but as humanity. The reason for framing the cure, the blue pill, as autism speaks, is that Autism Speaks has been focused on finding a cure for autism. Their perspective aligns with the medical model of disability, which views autism as a disease or disorder that needs to be cured or eliminated. This pathologizing of autistic traits that are a natural form of human diversity just is in itself quite weird. We should focus on acceptance and support instead of a cure. This is the reframing of the social model of disability. Although, to be fair to Autism Speaks, they have taken some steps towards, they now include autistic people in its leadership, apparently. They are still focused on ABA, which causes long-term psychological trauma to autistic people, and appearing to, ABA is another video, but for this purpose here, if you haven't heard of it, it kind of cures certain traits, but only at a temporary surface level, in exchange for lifelong emotional psychological trauma. Great swap. If we assume a fully supportive and perfectly adapted and inclusive society, so everything is, as it were, fully supported, would the sun still feel too bright? Would we still receive thin-sliced judgments by neurotypical people? Would certain feelings on the skin still feel electric and not in a good way? Although Autism Speaks is a subject for another day, the concept of medical research into alleviating some of the downsides could be worth a thought. We could yet find a balance somewhere between the blue and red pills, a sort of purple pill that advocates and supports autistic people and also has medical research into understanding and potentially changing the course of autism. What if this purple pill could help with the lethargy and dehydration that some of us experience when hyperfocusing and forgetting to drink? We already medicate children to assist them with focus issues, but personally I think this would be a slippery slope. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm trying to portray an argument here for discussion. And I do think that it would have significant potential to be abused. But there we go. What do you think? No matter what we do now or possibly in the future, personal autonomy and choice is paramount. Thinking back to traumatic events in my past, a lack of personal autonomy was always there. It was always a consistent factor. Any interventions, any blue pill, always makes me laugh that, but it should always be a choice of an individual. Self-determination, always. Now, I made this video after the question was suggested by Claire over at Woodshed Theory, and I must stress that there are no answers except that personal autonomy and self-determination is sacred and has to be respected. Your choices, not just about a metaphorical, hypothetical cure, but about your direction in life, is, as always, very personal. Those who would influence you are just humans too, living out our lives on a spinning planet orbiting a ball of hot gas. Let's have some perspective. We're all just human. This video has been brought to you by Trudy. Now, Trudy has been in the videos before. She is a 10-year-old Chihuahua. Mwah. We've got 40 of the best ADHD memes just waiting for you right here. Why not click this next? It's much happier than this video, I promise. Bye.